Donald Trump's speech in Aurora, Colorado was perhaps his most dangerous speech yet, and that's saying a lot. His rhetoric is intensifying. It's getting more violent, more Nazi-like. One of the things that Donald Trump said that he would do if he was elected is bring back the Alien and Sedition Act of 1798. Now, the Aliens and Sedition Act is a way to discriminate against people on the basis of their ancestry and to also prosecute people and throw people behind bars who criticize an administration for doing that. It was introduced in the Adams administration in 1798. There was this kind of widespread fear at the time of, a foreign invasion. And as a result, these laws were enacted and political opponents were thrown into prison. This is not the type of thing that we want to go back to. So I want to spend a little time giving us a historical perspective here. Now, before, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump's top advisor, had been talking about bringing back these laws from the 1700s. This is the first time, though, while Donald Trump has used the Nazi-like rhetoric, while Donald Trump has talked about the poisoning of the blood and using this type of these statements, Donald Trump's articulation, though, of the Aliens and Sedition Act, to me, adds a new level and a new layer to it. So first, let me show you what Donald Trump said in Aurora, Colorado, so you can hear it for yourself. Here he talks about bringing back, he calls it the Alien Enemies Act or the Aliens and Sedition Act. Here he is talking about it. Let's play the clip.
To expedite the removals of these savage gangs, and I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. 1798. This was put there. 1798. That's a long time ago, right? To target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. Who would have ever thought that a president or a future president would ever have to stand here and say such things? Who would think that that's even possible to have to do?
Now, at that speech as well, Donald Trump talked about going after CBS, and I'll show you why this is related. He said going after CBS for the interview that they did with Vice President Kamala Harris, though Donald Trump was too afraid to do the interview with CBS. Let's play this clip.
But think of this. So CBS gets a license, and the license is based on honesty. I think they have to take their license away. I do.
Okay, let's take a look at the Alien and Sedition Act, just to give you some perspective right here. The Alien Enemies Act permitted the government to arrest and deport all male citizens of an enemy nation in the event of war, and the Alien Friends Act allowed the president to deport any non-citizen suspected of plotting against the government, even in peacetime. In addition, it allowed for prosecution of anyone who engages in malicious statements against an administration. I'll give you examples of the prosecutions under the Aliens Enemies Act and the Alien Sedition Act of this time period. But let's just take a look at the statute so you can see for itself. The Alien and Sedition Act 1798, Section 1, be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that whenever there shall be a declared war between the United States and any foreign nation or government, or any invasion or predatory incursion shall be perpetrated, attempted, or threatened against the territory of the United States by any foreign nation or government, and the President of the United States shall make a public proclamation of the event, all natives, citizens, denizens, or subjects of the hostile nation or government, being males of the age of 14 years and upwards, who shall be within the United States and not actually naturalized, shall be liable to be apprehended, restrained, secured, and removed as alien enemies. Now, you'll be like, well, there's not a declaration of war, but this is why they use the word invasion. Right? So because the statute says the word invasion, where you can basically declare dictatorial power right here. And the language is, or any invasion or predatory incursion. And that's why Trump's using the language, I'm going to liberate Colorado. I'm going to liberate this state, liberate that state. He creates a lie and claims that Venezuelan gangs have taken over Colorado. They've taken over Aurora. I'm going to liberate you, and I'm going to enact this statute where I can discriminate and deport people on the basis of ancestry. And frankly, where he'll extend this is even citizens. He'll just say, are threats, and I'm going to put you behind bars. Look, take a look at Section 2. Section 2 deals with you can't speak negatively about the administration for doing these things. And if newspapers, media speak out, you're subject to arrest and detention. Section 2 of the Aliens and Sedition Act of 1798. And be it further enacted that if any person shall write, print, utter, or publish, or shall cause or procure to be written, printed, utter, or published, or shall knowingly and willingly assist or aid in writing, printing, uttering, or publishing any false, scandalous, and malicious writing or writings against the government of the United States, or either House of Congress of the United States, or the President of the United States, with the intent to defame the said government, or either House of the said Congress, or the said President, or to bring them or either of them into contempt or disrepute, or to excite against them or either or any of them the hatred of the good people of the United States, or to stir up sedition within the United States, or to excite any unlawful combinations therein for opposing or resisting any law of the United States, or any act of the President of the United States done in pursuance of any such law. And then it goes on to say what the penalty is. Then such person being thereof convicted before any court of the United States, having jurisdiction thereof, shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $2,000 and by imprisonment not exceeding 2 years. So just throw you in prison, throw you in jail under Section 2. AI might be the most important computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up, folks. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power naturally. So how do you compete without the costs spiraling out of control? Good question. It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber 8x8 and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/Meidas. Go to oracle.com/MEIDAS. That's oracle.com/Meidas. Go to oracle.com/Meidas and tell them the MeidasTouch brothers say hello. Now, just to give you some historical stories where this has been implemented. From 1798, Matthew Lyon, a Republican congressman from Vermont, became the first person to be tried under these laws. A grand jury indicted Lyon for publishing letters in a Democratic Republican newspaper during his re-election campaign that showed, quote, intent and design to defame the government and President Adams, among other charges. Lyon acted as his own attorney and defended himself by claiming the Sedition Act was unconstitutional and that he had not intended to damage the government. He was convicted, and the judge sentenced him to 4 months in prison and a fine of $1,000. Lyon won re-election while sitting in jail, and he would later go on to defeat his opponent, but he was in prison. Another individual famously prosecuted under the Sedition Act was the Democratic Republican friendly journalist James Callender, sentenced to 9 months in prison for his, quote, false, scandalous, and malicious writing against the said President of the United States. Callender wrote articles from jail supporting Jefferson's campaign for president in 1800. After Jefferson won, Callender demanded a government post in return for his service, and goes on to say that. All told, between 1798 and 1801, U.S. federal courts prosecuted at least 26 individuals under the Sedition Act. Many were editors of Democratic Republican newspapers and all opposed the Adams administration. The prosecutions fueled furious debate over the meaning of a free press and the rights that should be afforded to opposition political parties in the United States. So let's think about what he's saying. He's using the words invasion. He's saying they're poisoning the blood of our people. He's saying he wants to implement that law, which would mean if he thinks I'm being mean on this YouTube by calling him out for his lies and the danger that he poses, then he'll say under the Aliens and Seditions Act that I get imprisoned. And all journalists like me get imprisoned. That's what he is doing. And I'm just showing you the law and reading it to you so you can see for yourself. Think about the messaging at the Republican National Convention versus the Democratic Convention, right? In the Democratic Convention, they were holding up signs, USA, USA. What were the signs at the Republican Convention? Mass deportation now. Take a look at what Donald Trump Jr. responded when the New York Times had this up on their site. Sweeping raids, giant camps, and mass deportations inside Trump's 2025 immigration plans. Donald Trump's son, Usay and Kusay, I'm just joking, Donald Trump Jr. says, they say it like it's a bad thing. Here's what Stephen Miller had to say, how Donald Trump will invoke this law from the 1700s. Play this clip.
The only other detail I'll add to this, and I could obviously talk about it for, an hour, but is that President Trump has also said that he would invoke a statute that's been on the books since the John Adams administration, which allows you to deport any alien aged 14 or older without due process if there's a declared state of incursion, a predatory incursion or invasion from that country. So this is an extremely powerful tool that waives due process. And so that would be an additional authority that you'd be able to use to expedite these removals.
And here was Stephen Miller speaking in Aurora, Colorado, while he was pointing at photos of Hispanics and getting Trump fans in Aurora to boo and yell at them. Let's show you that.
Look at all these photos around me. Are these the kids you grew up with? Are these the neighbors you were raised with? Are these the neighbors that you want in your city? No. These are the criminal migrants that Kamala Harris brought into your community. And as swiftly as they came, Donald Trump will send them back.
And here, by the way, is J.D. Vance calling Haitian immigrants who are here legally under legal protected status. He goes, I'm going to call them illegal aliens anyway. Play this clip.
Hi, Senator. Mia McCarthy with Politico. Question for you about the Haitian migrants in Springfield. So I know you've talked a lot about how we need to deport illegal aliens, but I wanted to ask you, the majority of the Haitians in Springfield came under TPS, so they are here legally. And I know you've expressed a lot of your issues with the TPS program and wanting to change that under a Trump-Vance administration. But I guess my question for you is, if you become the vice president under a Trump administration, what will you guys do about the migrants that are already there, since they did arrive legally? And a follow-up to that, if you plan to deport them, how would you do that legally?
Well, look, this is a media and Kamala Harris fact check that I want to clarify and clear up right now. And here's now, the media loves to say that the Haitian migrants, hundreds of thousands of them, by the way, 20,000 in Springfield, but hundreds of thousands of them all across our country, they are here legally. And what they mean is that Kamala Harris used two separate programs, mass parole and temporary protective status. She used two programs to wave a wand and to say, we're not going to deport those people here. Well, if Kamala Harris waves the wand illegally and says these people are now here legally, I'm still going to call them an illegal alien. An illegal action from Kamala Harris does not make an alien legal. That is not how this works.
Donald Trump then says that getting the people out, these mass deportations will be, quote, a bloody story. Here's what he has to say.
They are radicals headed up by a radical governor in Colorado that has no clue how to solve this influx of crime into his state. And by the way, Colorado's one state. It's much worse in other states. But in Colorado, they've taken over. I mean, in Colorado, they're so brazen, they're taking over sections of the state. And, you know, getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. Nobody checked them. Nobody checked. Were they criminals? Were they from jails? We have them pouring out from jails. We have the worst criminals in all of these countries. 168 so far are registered, 168 countries. They're in our country, and they said, if you come back, you will be executed. You will be killed immediately. Not going to be easy, but we'll do it.
And after his Aurora, Colorado event, Donald Trump posted the following message on his social media account. We will send elite squads of ICE, Border Patrol, and federal law enforcement officers to hunt down, arrest, and deport every last illegal gang member until there's not a single one left. If they come back, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. We will close the border. We will stop the invasion of illegals. Notice the word invasion. We will defend our territory. We will not be conquered. We will reclaim our sovereignty, and Colorado will vote for Trump as a protest and signal to the world that we are not going to take it. I will liberate Colorado. I will give you back your freedom and your life. Really meaning he's going to take away your freedom. He's going to round up people he doesn't like, invoke the Alien and Seditions Act, prosecute people for criticizing him. You've now read the law. We've gone over it together. So you see for yourself when he's talking about Alien and Seditions Act, Alien Enemies Act from 1798, that's what he means. So the question for you is, do you want to go back to 1798? Do you want to have a place where law enforcement will be knocking on your door? Better believe they're knocking on your door. Don't you think they're not coming for you? I don't care if you're a white person. I don't care if you're a white Christian. If he doesn't like you, he's going to say that your ancestry, your citizenry, your genes. By the way, if you're first generation, second generation immigrant, and you think, well, that's not me. I'm not here unlawfully. I have papers. It's based on citizenry. He's going to declare you unlawful. Hey, I still deem you illegal aliens. Oh, then you want to criticize it? Alien and Seditions Act, you go to prison. You've read the law. You see for yourself. I'm not giving it hyperbolic. Just take their words, take the law, take the statute, and then layer on this final element that the Supreme Court has now given him absolute immunity. So there's no repercussions to do this at all. If he commits crimes, if he does, it's fine. He will say, I did a proclamation as an official act under the Alien and Seditions Act. I did a proclamation. I can't be prosecuted based on the Supreme Court's ruling that a president has king-like powers. That's what's at stake. Judge for yourself. But I wanted to lay it all out there for you. Hit subscribe, and let's get to 4 million subscribers together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.